NC 40A1 is a combination of the original 40A1 and part of 40A2. Students continue to solve multiplication and division problems involving multiplicative comparison. Students also record multiplicative comparison problems with equations using a letter for the unknown. This new standard emphasizes that students need to be able to distinguish between additive comparison and multiplicative comparison. NC 40A4 requires students to find all factor pairs for a given number, know that a whole number is a multiple of its factors, and determine if a number is prime or composite. However, this standard now only requires students to identify factors for numbers up to 50 and to determine if numbers up to 50 are prime or composite. NC 40A3 replaces the previous multi-step word problems with the more specific two-step word problems. Also, Common Core 4NBT3 standard on rounding whole numbers has now been incorporated into estimation strategies in NC 40A3. Students should be able to represent the two-step problems using an equation with a letter for the unknown. Common Core 4NBT2 included reading, writing, and comparing numbers up to 1 million. That standard has been decomposed into two standards, NC 4NBT2 and NC 4NBT7. Fourth grade students are only responsible for numbers up to 100,000 in the new standards. Students continue to record and recognize numbers using numerals, number names, or word form, and expanded form. Students also continue to compare numbers to 100,000 using the symbols less than, greater than, and equal to. Students continue to develop fluency with addition and subtraction in NC 4NBT4. However, students only solve problems within 100,000 rather than within 1 million. NC 4NBT5 is very similar to the original Common Core standard. However, students are only expected to multiply a one-digit number by another number with up to 3 digits. Originally, students were expected to multiply a one-digit number by up to a 4-digit number. Students continue to multiply two-digit numbers by other two-digit numbers. Students continue to use models to do so. Students are not required to master the U.S. standard algorithm for multiplication, but once students are fluent using models, the algorithm may be introduced by connecting to the model. Similar to NC 4NBT5, NC 4NBT6 only requires students to divide numbers up to 3-digit by a one-digit divisor. Students are not required to use the U.S. standard algorithm for division until 6th grade. Work in 4th grade should use rectangular arrays, area models, repeated subtraction, partial quotients, properties of operations, and the relationship between multiplication and division. Only a few minor changes have been made in NF standards for grade 4. Standards in this domain are limited to denominators halves, thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, eighths, tenths, twelfths, and hundredths. NC 4NF1 explicitly states 4th grade students should use both area and length fraction models to explain why fractions are equivalent. NC 4NF2 emphasizes comparing fractions using benchmarks 0, 1/2, and 1 whole, reasoning about size and using area and length models, and comparing common numerators and denominators. Like NC 4NF1, NC 4NF2 also explicitly mentions the use of area and length models to compose and decompose fractions with like denominators. 4NF5 and 4NF6 have been combined into NC 4NF6. NC 4NF7 explicitly mentions the use of area and length models to compare decimals. Previously, 4th grade students needed to convert from larger to smaller units in both metric and customary units. Now, NC 4MD1 requires students to estimate and measure within the following metric units: centimeters and meters for length, grams and kilograms for mass, and liters and milliliters for capacity. In other words, students should know the approximate size of these units and be able to use what they know to estimate. For example, a student might know that a meter is about waist high on an adult and a doorway is about 2 meters high. Students should also have opportunities to measure using meters. NC 4MD2 includes conversion from a larger unit to a smaller unit in the metric system. Students use place value understanding, two-column tables, and length models to make conversions. Students convert only from meters to centimeters, from kilograms to grams, and from liters to milliliters. Fourth grade students will continue to solve problems involving elapsed time. However, a new standard has been created for elapsed time, NC 4MD8, rather than just including it as part of 4MD1 and 4MD2. Third grade students only solve elapsed time problems within 1 hour. Fourth grade students solve elapsed time problems that cross over an hour for the first time. Fourth grade students will continue to solve real-world problems involving area and perimeter. In Common Core, third grade students also solve problems involving area and perimeter. Specifically, third grade students found the area of both rectangles and rectilinear figures and solved problems in which the area is constant and the perimeter changes, or the perimeter is constant and the area changes. Third grade students are no longer expected to solve problems involving rectilinear figures or problems involving both area and perimeter. Third graders still solve area problems and perimeter problems, but no problems that include both area and perimeter. Therefore, especially after the 18-19 school year, fourth grade teachers will need to plan to spend additional time on problems involving rectilinear figures and problems involving both area and perimeter. 4MD5, 4MD6, and 4MD7 have been combined into NC 4MD6. However, the content remains the same. Students are still expected to understand angle and angle measurement and to solve angle addition and subtraction problems in which angles are combined or taken apart. There are no major changes in the content of any standards in the geometry domain. The standards have been reworded to make them easier to read and understand, but the content of these standards remains the same. Next, you will take a 10-question quiz on the changes in the North Carolina standards. Be sure that you have participated in all discussions and make at least an 80% on the quiz to receive credit for this course. You are able to retake the quiz one time as needed. Thank you for participating in this course.